I need to share something with you that most doctors are not discussing. There are 3 foods sitting in the average senior's kitchen right now, foods that seem completely harmless, foods that your doctor has likely never cautioned you about. And those 3 foods could be quietly taking away something that no medicine can easily restore: your ability to walk freely. I am Milani Sander, and in the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly which 3 everyday foods may be silently weakening the legs that carry you through life. And then I am going to show you the 3 foods that can help you push back. Now, I understand you have heard a great deal of health advice over the years, and much of it has been helpful. But here is the part that is not always explained. After the age of 65, your body reacts to certain foods in a completely different way than it did when you were younger. And some foods that appear perfectly fine can begin causing real harm, quietly, gradually, without obvious warning signs, until one day your balance feels off. Your legs feel heavy and your steps feel less steady than they once did. That matters because falling is the #1 cause of fatal injury in adults over 65. Not heart attacks, not cancer, falls. And many of those falls begin long before anyone sees them coming. So stay with me through this entire video, because one of the foods I'm going to mention later looks so healthy that almost everyone over 65 is eating it regularly, and you need to know this. Let us begin with the good news. The first food I want to talk about today is beets. Now, I know some of you are already making a face, but stay with me because beets are doing something inside your body right now that most people over 65 truly need. Here is the issue that almost nobody mentions. As you age, your blood vessels start to become a little stiffer, a little narrower. That means the blood that carries oxygen and nutrients to your legs, your feet, your brain, that blood has a harder time reaching where it needs to go. And when your legs are not receiving enough blood flow, things begin to deteriorate slowly. Your muscles grow weaker. Your balance becomes unstable. Your feet begin to feel numb or cold. And most people assume that is just normal aging, but it is not always normal, and it does not have to be this way. Think of it like a garden hose. When the hose is wide open and flexible, water flows through easily and reaches every corner of the garden. But when that hose becomes stiff and the opening narrows, the pressure drops. The parts of the garden farthest from the source begin to dry out first. And in your body, the areas farthest from your heart are your feet and your lower legs. That is not a coincidence. That is why older adults feel it there first. The coldness, the numbness, the heaviness, the steps that feel less secure than they once did. Beets contain natural compounds known as nitrates. And here's the simple explanation of how this works. When you eat beets, your body converts those nitrates into something called nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is like a signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and open wider. Wider blood vessels mean improved blood flow. Better blood flow to your legs means stronger muscles, better balance, and improved sensation in your feet. There was a study that followed older adults who drank beet juice before going for a walk, and those individuals walked noticeably faster and with less effort than the people who did not. That is not a small thing. That is your body receiving real, measurable support from a real food. Beets are also rich in folate, which helps protect your brain as you age, and they contain a group of antioxidants that give them that deep red color. Those antioxidants are working hard to shield your blood vessels from the slow, quiet damage that inflammation causes over the years. Now, how do you eat them? You can roast them, you can slice them into a salad, you can blend them into a smoothie if you do not enjoy the taste on its own. A small beet, a handful of berries, a little ginger. You will barely taste it, but your blood vessels will know it was there. A few servings each week can make a meaningful difference over time. And I want you to hold on to this idea of blood flow as we move through the rest of this video, because blood flow is going to come up again, and not in a good way. When I get to one of the foods you need to avoid, blood flow will be the reason. But before we get there, I want to share something I think about often when I speak with older adults who tell me they are doing everything right, walking daily, watching what they eat, taking their medications, and yet something still feels off. The legs get tired more quickly. The balance is not quite what it used to be. And what I discover again and again is that the problem is not effort. It is that no one ever connected the specific foods they were eating to what was happening inside their legs. That connection is real. It is measurable. And the beautiful part is you can begin working with it today, which brings me to the second food that can help protect you as you age. The second food on the protective side is sweet potatoes. Now, you may be thinking potatoes are potatoes. What is the difference? The difference is actually huge, and it matters far more than most people are ever told. Sweet potatoes are rich in something called beta carotene. That is the compound that gives them that vibrant orange color. And inside your body, beta carotene is converted into vitamin A. Now, vitamin A is essential for keeping your vision sharp. And for older adults, your vision is directly connected to your safety. When your eyesight begins to fade and no one catches it early, your risk of falling increases dramatically. You misjudge a step, you miss the edge of a rug, and down you go. But here is what makes sweet potatoes truly powerful for aging adults. They also help stabilize your blood sugar in a way that regular white potatoes do not. And I want you to focus here because this is important. When your blood sugar spikes after a meal and then crashes back down, that cycle over time damages the small blood vessels in your legs and feet. It also dulls the tiny nerve signals that help you sense where your feet are. Think of those nerves like small sensors in the soles of your feet, constantly sending messages up to your brain. Ground is flat, slight slope. Adjust. That constant communication between your feet and your brain is what keeps you upright. But when blood sugar spikes repeatedly over months and years, those sensors begin to go quiet. And when they go quiet, your balance declines in ways that no amount of exercise can fully correct. Because the problem is not in the muscles, it is in the signal. Sweet potatoes have a lower glycemic index than white potatoes. That means they release energy slowly and steadily, not all at once. And that steady release helps protect those small blood vessels and those nerve signals that keep you stable on your feet. They also contain magnesium, potassium, and a wide range of B vitamins that support muscle function and help reduce nighttime leg cramps, something that affects a large number of older adults and that many people simply accept as a normal part of aging. You can bake them, mash them without adding excessive butter or cream, cube them into soups or stews. The skin contains extra fiber, so leave it on when possible. Now, I know we are about to move into territory that may surprise you because the third protective food I want to share is something most people do not associate with leg strength and balance at all. The third food is kale. And before you close this video, let me tell you something specific about kale that changed the way I think about it. Kale is one of the richest plant sources of vitamin K1 on the planet. And vitamin K is involved in something critically important that most people never hear about. It helps regulate where calcium goes in your body. Here is why that matters. As you age, calcium can sometimes end up in the wrong places. Instead of staying in your bones where it belongs, it can begin to accumulate inside your arteries. And when that happens, your arteries become stiff and hard. Blood has a more difficult time flowing through them. And once again, we return to that issue of blood flow to the legs. Stiff arteries mean reduced circulation to the lower body. And reduced circulation means weaker legs, cold feet, numbness, and a balance problem that builds slowly until you are not even sure when it began. Vitamin K helps direct calcium back to the right places into the bones and away from the arteries. Kale also contains something called lutein, which most people think of as an eye nutrient. And yes, it supports your vision. But lutein also crosses into the brain and has been shown in studies to help maintain the processing speed and mental sharpness you need to react quickly when your balance is challenged. That split-second reaction time, that is partly lutein. And here is something worth reflecting on. Most falls do not happen because the legs suddenly collapse. They happen because the legs wobbled and the brain did not respond quickly enough to correct it. That reaction window is tiny, a fraction of a second. And what you eat over months and years either keeps that window sharp or slowly allows it to widen until one day it is just a little too wide. Now, kale can be somewhat tough to eat raw. Massaging the leaves with a little olive oil for a few minutes breaks down the fibers and makes it gentler on your digestion. You can also saute it lightly, chop it into soups, or blend it into a smoothie. Just a cup or two a few times a week provides your body with meaningful amounts of what it needs. Now, we have discussed 3 foods that are truly working in your favor as you age, and I hope you are feeling encouraged because this is not about perfection. It is about small, consistent choices that build up over months and years. But I also promised you something else today. And this is the part I want you to pay very close attention to because this is where many well-meaning, well-intentioned seniors are quietly making things worse without realizing it. There are three common foods that many older adults eat regularly. Foods that have a strong reputation for being healthy or at least completely harmless. And for a younger person, they mostly are. But after 65, these same foods can quietly trigger inflammation, impair circulation, and weaken the very legs that keep you independent. Let us begin with the first one. The first food I want you to be cautious about is corn. Now, I know corn is everywhere. It is at every cookout, every family gathering, every street food cart, and corn itself is not poison. I want to be clear about that. But for older adults who consume it regularly, there is an issue that most people never connect to their legs. Corn is very high in omega-6 fatty acids, and the ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in your diet has a direct effect on how much inflammation your body maintains. Here's the simple explanation. Omega-3s cool down inflammation. Omega-6, when consumed in excess, fuel it. And most Americans, especially older adults eating a traditional diet, are taking in far too many omega-6 and not nearly enough omega-3s. Chronic inflammation does not feel like anything at first. There is no sharp pain, no clear warning, but it is working quietly inside your blood vessels, inside your joints, inside the small nerves in your feet. And over time, it leads to the exact kind of slow damage that makes walking more difficult, that makes balance worse, and that raises your risk of a serious fall. Corn also has a high glycemic index, similar to what I mentioned earlier with sweet potatoes. The blood sugar spikes, the vessels take a hit, the nerves take a hit. Now, I am not saying never eat corn again. But if you are eating it several times a week, you may be quietly adding fuel to a fire you do not even realize is burning. And the tricky part is that fire does not announce itself. There is no dramatic moment, just a gradual shift over months and seasons where walking feels a little harder and standing a little less steady than before. Try replacing some of your corn with the foods we discussed earlier. Your legs will notice the difference before your brain even recognizes what changed. If this is resonating with you, leave a comment below with the word stronger. It lets me know you are still here with me. The second one may truly surprise you. Canned tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes are actually very good for you, but canned tomatoes are a different story for older adults. And here is why. Canned tomatoes are acidic enough that the canning process often causes the lining of the can to release a compound called BPA into the food. BPA is a chemical that has been linked in research to increased inflammation and disruption of hormonal balance, two things that aging bodies are already working hard to maintain. But beyond the BPA concern, canned tomatoes are also extremely high in sodium in most commercial versions. And excess sodium is one of the quieter enemies of healthy circulation in older adults. It raises blood pressure. It causes the body to retain fluid. And that fluid retention in the legs is not just uncomfortable. It places pressure on the small blood vessels that supply the muscles and nerves in your lower legs.